You took the first steps of launching your nursing agency. Maybe you've even placed a few nurses. You're doing great, and now you're thinking growth. If this is your story, then today's video is one you're going to want to watch. Today, I'm going to share with you some of the best ways you could grow your nursing agency. At Passive Workforce, we help you start, grow, and sell your healthcare business. Growing a healthcare staffing firm, especially a nursing agency, is fundamentally contingent upon two things: retention and placement opportunities. The business we are in is literally addressing staff shortages. Everyone in the healthcare space is competing for the same limited resources. In order to grow your nursing agency, you're going to have to compete for their attention. I know, that part seems obvious, but what keeps most agencies from seeing the growth that they really want is how well they keep the staff that they attracted in the first place. The most logical thing that most entrepreneurs think about retaining their staff is to pay them well. And that may be true, but what you'll find out in your own nursing agency is that is most likely not the reason why nurses are deciding to stick with your agency. What I recommend is that you conduct a survey amongst all of your applicants, as well as all the staff that's worked in your organization, and really ask them, what is it about your organization, or what is it about that particular job that keeps them interested in staying around? And what you're going to find out is that number one on their list is not going to be pay. For those of you who are nurses, you might be nodding your head right now and know that the number one thing that most nurses care about is the environment that they're working in. Are they in a toxic culture within that facility, or is it actually a team of nurses working well together where it's not that dog-eat-dog world of nursing, and a team that actually helps educate and uplift one another? Sometimes it's conflicts between management and the staff. Sometimes the staff on a unit may work really well together, but management is what's killing the vibe. Once you talk to nurses and once you talk to other healthcare professionals, you'll see that those are the things that they're most concerned with. So if you know what is driving the decisions for an employee to stay with your agency or in the facility that you're staffing them in, then you're going to be able to kind of cater to that and make sure that you're placing them in the right environment so that they decide to stay with your agency longer rather than moving on to another agency that gives them the opportunity to be placed somewhere else, because they're going to be thinking anywhere is better than this. And if I'm going to have to continue working in this environment, I'd rather not work at all. So if you know those are the things that are driving the behaviors and driving the intent to stay with your agency or leave, then you have the ability to mitigate that. Another thing that employees will report is they like to be in an environment where they feel cared for, where they have open communication with management, where they can express their concerns and actually have a voice in what happens next in the company. You'll find that there's a lot of nurses who would rather be in an environment where they get to teach the next generation of nurses to be the type of nurses that they feel the industry needs. And if you have an organization that is considering those things and working with your nurses to build a better organization, you'll get way more buy-in than just paying somebody a few dollars more per an hour. The main thing that I want you to take away from staff retention is that you actually have to talk to your staff and understand what their wants and needs are. If you're not talking to your staff and you're just making things up as you go, then you're going to actually be focusing on what your wants and needs are and what you think the nurses want, rather than you talking to them and allowing them to tell you what they need and what will keep them interested in working for your organization. What I mean by that is the larger the facility and the larger the organization that you're working with, the more likely you are to have increased placement opportunities, and the more likely you are to have a contract that goes on for a longer period of time. The best way that I can explain this is, think about a hospital setting. And let's just say it's a large university hospital, 600-700 bed sort of facility. They're going to have needs throughout that hospital, whether it's on med-surg units, ICU units, the emergency room. They're going to always have kind of a rotating set of needs. And because of that, you're going to have more and more placement opportunities, and the likelihood that those needs will continue regardless of whether or not they were able to address the needs in one particular unit. Outside of nursing, there might be other needs that come up, like staffing the OR or staffing the radiology department, or even staffing the radiation therapy department. Those sort of positions and those sort of placement opportunities may arise because of the sheer scope of that facility. Now, if you compare that to private practices where they might only have a need for, who knows, a 13-week period because somebody's out on maternity leave, or someone is injured, or someone's out on vacation, and it's just few employees who are working in that setting, and a short-term contract. If you have a lot of these contracts that aren't long-term and aren't really sticky, then you're going to have a lot of turnover, because what's the likelihood of someone else going down in that private practice that only employs 8 people where someone is on maternity leave again in the near future? You're going to have high rotation of contracts. So you want to make sure that you have a good mix of larger facilities that have a lot of needs for a longer duration of time, because you're going to be able to stick with that facility for a longer period and potentially have more long-term placements in that facility. You could have the smaller sort of placement opportunities to kind of supplement, but you can't be building out a book of business just on this idea of having a bunch of small offices, because at some point they're going to find the long-term staff or the temporary positions you're covering are going to get cycled out, and then you're out of business. To expand on your own growth, you also need to expand on your placement opportunities. Healthcare staffing, unlike home healthcare, has loose regulations, meaning you could seek placement opportunities in neighboring counties or across the entire country. In order to grow, you need more sticky contracts. If you want to grow in this space, remember that you have to think about your staff first, really understand their wants and needs, and align your company to those wants and needs. You will not grow if you can't keep your nurses around. Once you have a good handle on recruiting and keeping your staff, spread your wings a bit and get high-density, long-term placement opportunities by contracting with larger facilities over a larger territory. I hope you learned something from today's video that you can immediately apply to your organization. Make sure you update us on how things are improving for your agency after applying what you've learned here today. If you need help starting, growing, and getting your agency sold, don't hesitate in reaching out to our team. Like, subscribe, and see you in the next video. Until then, take care.